You want to do this show? It's a bitch.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Klein.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to thank the sound crew for the terrific height estimation. I thought it was, I know you look shorter on television, but I thought it was Johnny Paleo. You may remember him from the Harmonica Rascals. When he used to bite their thighs. He was a wonderful... Welcome to Home Box Office University. Since the whole school, the curriculum and everything. I'm glad you're here. Let me investigate the space I have here. This is a good 5-footer. Will you warn me if I get too close, sort of like a bowling alley electric eye, you know? Oh, I stopped bowling. It made me very guilty. I couldn't. How can you argue with technology? I go, you stepped over, Rob. I did not, honestly. Schmuck, it's technology. You're going to argue with I stopped bowling when came time to stop renting shoes or buy them. They still rent shoes in bowling alley? I haven't gone. Whew, what a revolting practice that is. Kind of like renting a Kleenex. Nice luminous paint numbers and the address of the bowling alley on the heels. Buffalo's the biggest bowling city in America. This is how they keep together. America, bowling, Buffalo. I said so many words. I don't know. For bowling. In Buffalo, I play there at least once or twice a year somewhere and turn on the television set in a hotel, and the first channel is bowling for dollars, and celebrity bowling, dialing for bowling, bowling tips, soul bowling. There is every form of bowling in Buffalo. Do you know during the tremendous snow emergency they had, you couldn't use your car except for an emergency or to go bowling. The only other one. If you could prove you had a league game that night. I noticed where Brunswick or AMF, one of the big companies, they built 30 alleys in Russia, and the president of AMF had the privilege of that first ball, and he lines up and bowls a perfect gutter ball right along the center. So he's embarrassed, blows his hands, other mannerisms, equivalent to when you're a baseball player, shakes his ass, a perfect gutter ball right along the edge. 2 gutter balls. Now the Russian big shot, he thinks that's the way the game is played. Don't knock down the pins, whatever you do. Don't hit the pins, in the groove only, in the groove. So the Russians played, they paid cold cash, they took the money, and bye Russians, hope you enjoy it if that's the way you like to play. And of course, when bowling becomes an Olympic sport, we have a 5-year advantage on them. They won't know what's happening. In the groove only, don't hit the pins. And then they lost, and give them a little screwing, the Russians, because they're not cute. I'm reading a lot of Gulag books recently, and as a fairly protected child of the middle class, I've just never been close to a Gulag experience. Working in the mountains was the closest, living in a real shithole underneath the ground and eating grains. The guests would get steak and delicious vegetables, and they give the kids very good grain, like the horses eat at Central Park from the bag. And I just stand there like that's the hippest thing horses ever do. There's something stylish about, changing. I worked in a kitchen, which is the toughest kind of work. You ever worked in a kitchen? You get a little different perspective on things if you worked in a kitchen. Furious tempers. People get very cranky at 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It's just a... Pick up! I kill you! French toast, pick up! Getting cold! They call you by what your order is. That becomes your name. Pick up French toast! French toast, you smart-ass bastard. I'm gonna kick your ass, eh? Hey, from beef and cabbage. Go tell your friend French toast I'm gonna kick his ass, okay? Tuna salad, pick up! It's strange people working in pot washing. That's a real... Guys with ragged outfits and a lot of tattoos and new sneakers. It's wild. I mean, hello, what's your name? You know, my name is Louis, and it's very, very sad. There was a great play by Arnold Wesker called The Kitchen. It's a wonderful environment for drama, Kitchen. And as a busboy, there were vicious people who grab you and, young man, I like my coffee burning hot. Tug on the bow tie. And some people that are too nice, like they don't want to put anyone out. They're not used to being at a resort, and they're, Robert, no, I don't want to bother you. What do you want? A plate. I don't have a plate. You know. Robert, no, never mind. No, what do you want? No, never mind. I'm an old crow. All I do is complain. No, what about it? A set of silverware, maybe the napkin. And Robert, no, forget it. It's too, what? No, never mind. Nothing. Can you tell me? No. Maybe a chair. I can sit down at like a good boy, you know. It's, some people are so nice. So many people who are near and dear to me are here tonight. My exterminator is here tonight. Analyst, my wife is here tonight, and several people from the opera world. My wife is an opera singer, and it's peculiar living with them a little because they always, opera singers think that since the last time they heard their voice, it's left them. And they're always testing it in the middle of a conversation. Well, yes, the Blue Cross will cover that, but as far as I can tell, it's a little insane. But she's been picking up a few bucks, I must admit. Cash awards and various gigs, and she brings me the check, and it makes me feel good. Like an opera pimp, you know. Give me that check, bitch. You hiding out on me. You did that Carmen in Cleveland, didn't you? And that's $2,000 a week for 2 weeks, baby. You bring that over here, huh? I got 2 more girls working in San Diego doing oratorio. I could do all right with them alone, okay? And it looks like that Traviata's coming through for Boston, bitch, so you better straighten out, all right? Opera pimp. And one other thing, too, one of the great advantages that anytime I want, my girls will sing for me. I like virtuosity of all sorts. I myself was made ashamed of not having studied an instrument properly. I toy around on the harmonica, and I took saxophone lessons. I carried a baritone saxophone 1.5 miles every day to Dewey Clinton High School like this, you know. And I never properly learned to read music. It was more of the colors on the toy xylophone. Orange, purple, green, blue, yellow, purple, brown, green. More of that sort of thing. This is a cozy little setup here in New York University. People up and down, and it is cozy. It's going to be cozier and cozier as we get along. This is, of course, you know, subscription television, and you can practically say anything or do anything. Well, I wouldn't quite say that, but it is a special sort of opportunity, and close to home, too, which is a real treat for me. I don't travel too much, but I travel enough, and if you're hungry at 4 a.m. in New York City, you have your choice. If you're hungry at 4 a.m. in Valparaiso, Indiana, you eat your arm. If you're lucky, there's an old man with tattoos and no teeth and a paper hat and a hamburger stand. How do you like them? Check, please. And go back to the Holiday Inn for the peanut butter crackers and take them, and then 45 minutes. Trouble with Lorna Doones, too. It's a first grade A cookie, but it's a lot of work after you're through with the Lorna. A lot of work getting the Lorna Doone mucilage out from between the bones. The best restaurant in most American cities now is the kind where you make your own salad. Hey, and which brings out the pig in all of us. Not the normal salad you'd have. Let's see, we'll need some greens. Some phony bacon bits, I think. Croutons. Cucumbers. Even if you don't know what it is. What are these things? Have some more of those things. 4 kinds of dressing. Carry it back to the little self-consciously. Pardon me, please. You got the bread? You know, you do it in teams. How do they do it? Gee, it's a wonder of modern capitalism. Try the meat. That's how they do it. You know what happened to that steak before you got it sliced up? A little rocky for boom, boom, boom. Very tender, like butter. It's pulverized before. Or IHOP or Denny's, you know, those kind of places. Sweet, very sweet. And all the personnel are trainees at any given time. Tremendous turnover. May I have ketchup, please? Phil, where's the ketchup? Where do they keep the salt? You know, very bad. Very sweet, though. That's just what your body needs it for in the morning. Have the blueberry pancakes with banana sauce and whipped cream go into insulin shock in front of the waitress, who is invariably wearing a hairnet, part of the rules. Keep her hair out of the food. Because her arms are incredibly hairy, she's got no hair. Just on her hair, there's quite a bit of stuff there. Let's get down to some serious stuff, okay? No, hi, it's a man taking pictures. I certainly don't mind. Frankly, I'm a pro, and photographs don't faze me in the least. It won't affect the show or the timing, I mean. That's the only way I can get a decent shot. If you get me candidly, you get me out of context. Look at these beauties. I took it at NYU, Robert. You know, like that. And out of context, 10 years later, that could cause me a good deal of embarrassment. Who's this idiot here? Oh, he was a comedian, and no one cares if they weren't from... You know, if you go to scratch your nose, the camera just grabs that one little impulse of light, and if you go to scratch your nose, it takes an eighth of a second, but if someone takes a picture of that eighth of a second, it's, whites your eyes. Even if you're speaking, it's very unflattering. Say the word mucilage, I catch in the U of mucilage, and you've had it. Let's see, this coming Monday night, I'm hosting a Tonight Show again, and I'll tell you something. I really appreciate what Carson does, and you can tell the bad hosts, looking for the next question, desperate. What do you advise young jugglers to do? You know, it's... there's a lot of down-looking, you know. I saw the worst ones. George Hamilton. I once hosted back-to-back David Frosts with him, and one of the guests was Harold Krenz, the blind fellow who was a Harvard Law graduate, after whom Butterflies Are Free was written. Very hip guy, and he was a guest, and Hamilton was desperate, refused to wear his glasses, and couldn't see blurs. He sees Hebrew on the thing there. He actually asked us, Harold, are there any disadvantages to being blind? If I had been Harold, I would have let loose with all barrel. Not really, George. Just landing a 747. There are certain restrictions. Certain forms of neurological surgery. Other than that, there are no particular disadvantages to being blind. Or if you get a guest that answers in monosyllables like Broderick Crawford or something, where you give a two-paragraph question. What was it like in those days at Universal? I mean, did you all know that you were making history in cinematics, blah, 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 so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so? Yeah. That is my theremin impression. I do that from time to time. You see that in movies a lot. It's an electronic instrument, a theremin, but I call it a woo-woo. And one time I was woo-wooing quite liberally on the Tonight Show, and William Walker, the great Metropolitan Opera baritone, was on, and he was intrigued by that sound. Robert, how do you do that sound? For crying out loud, it's fantastic, you know. I don't know, Bill. I just woo-woo. He went, woo-hoo. Son of a bitch, how do you do that? Now, you got me pissed off. They usually sing one high-class aria, and then they usually sing one pop. For years, there's been a lot of attempts to make opera singers, they are, after all, regular guys and gals and so forth. The first attempt at that was on the Voice of Firestone years ago. It was Howard Barlow and an orchestra sitting under a tremendous snow tire. And they used to have things like Franco Corelli singing T for Two, and T for Two with the veins bursting out of his head. T for Two, Thank you, Franco, and he'd walk off. Opera would lose another 14 points among the populace. But since then, they have them on, but sometimes they make bad choices. Marilyn Horne, who's such a great singer, she did the Pineapple Rag of Scott Joplin, and she hadn't paid much attention to it, and it kind of came off corny. Come on and do the Pineapple Rag. Come on to the wrong tune and challenge. You know. I miss the GE College Ball. Hell of a show. Remember that? It was so smart. Ready, Harvard. Ready, Holy Cross. And okay. The answers were so complicated and difficult. 12 molecules of calcium, 13 of hydrogen. It's a non-soluble in oil, and it is an acetylene compound. Correct for the first part. Sometimes I knew the answers before the question was through. They were so brilliant. Ready. 3 American presidents were Thomas Jefferson, Millard Fillmore, James Abram Garfield. Correct for the first part. May we have the second part, please? Figure it out for yourself, smartass. You knew the question before the answer. They get a little cranky. They get a little bit cranky. I'd like to do for you now. Series. This thing is going to be the death of me here. I'm still not able to manipulate this cord. Not having attended singer's microphone school, where they learn how to work this cord. Somewhere there's music, yeah. Somewhere there's music. Up, down. They use it in a song. They learn to use what is otherwise an encumbrance and make it an asset. So, you know, button up your overcoat. Yeah. Like a bridge, get it? Oh, bridge. You have to say get it, otherwise they won't get it, but they accept that convention. You know, a microphone is such an intimidating thing, and it really is an underrated communicative device. We think of it on television and so forth, but how about a real loudspeaker and how it communicates and intrudes? I went to a summer camp once where they had this bullhorn on top of the headquarters for the 300 boys in Connecticut to hear important things like, "It's raining out, boys. Where are your rubbers?" And inexperienced people on the mic always go, "Is it on? It's not on." You know, and of course, hundreds of people know it. "It's on! It's not on. Will you put it on?" "It's on! Oh, it is on? Yes! Boys, you know, will Joel return the archery set, please?" Now, unfortunately, hundreds of farmers in this community had to share this information also. "Billy, return that volleyball." "Return the goddamn volleyball!" Arts and crafts at 2 o'clock. "Well, good for you!" "Is it on?" "Oh, it's on, all right." "Goddamn cow, stop milking, that's all it is." This is a beautiful floor here. They expected. I wish I could. I was in the musicals. Don't kid yourself. I was in one Broadway music in 1968, New Faces of 1968. Madeline Kahn and myself had great parts, and we were closed by an actor's strike. I pissed off about that. Imagine losing. But I must say that actors' unionism was a unique experience. It's unlike any other union in the world. These are actors. They're not steel workers or automobile workers. I mean, the speeches at the meeting were the best I've ever heard. Getting up at that meeting was the first time some of these people had worked in 3 or 4 years. "The 70-20 proposition will not work, me lords. It will not work. The wages are low. And the living is easy. Whoa. Guys jump up and go, whoa, 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 whoa. They had a strike meeting. First they had a rehearsal for the strike meeting, then they had the meeting. And it was a very burning issue in '68, which was that New York actors, American actors, were being put out of work by a lot of Englishmen being hired to do revivals of Shakespeare and classic plays and so forth. And then one guy got up, it was very touching. I'm sick and tired of this. I've been an actor in New York for 25 years. I've never been called for one Shakespearean production. It's a bunch of shit, all right? Have I even come close? You know, since Bing Crosby did what he did, and I'm so happy he's recuperated, this has been a nightmare of mine for a good part of my professional life, that you take a header into the pit. But to give you an idea how cynical people are, you know, I mean, of course, they look at something like the Nixon talks and they say, he's full of shit. Most people, anything he says, but he's definitely off. You know? But I heard somebody actually say that Bing Crosby did it for publicity. Pretty brilliant move. Well, so, you know, I'm in my late 70s. I'm a multi-billionaire. I think I'll jump off the stage. I heard plenty of cynical stories about show business. I won't even tell you. I'll tell you one inside secret. It's all right if you know the Alpo commercial in the Johnny Carson show? The dog loves that Alpo. It's live. He hasn't eaten in 52 hours. He would eat Ed McMahon's hand if there were no Alpo. Did you ever see Ed work with a little innocuous Yorkie and he's wearing a hawk glove on? You ever notice that? Shayna loves her Alpo. And the hand comes back like a rubber band. I finally did a television pilot last fall called Klein Time, and we'll see. I know you'd all love it. We'll see if it gets on or not. After many years of turning down several good opportunities to be in sitcoms, I sort of have a thing about most of the sitcoms. They're not very good. It reminds me of that play America Hurrah, where they did a robot parody of it. But Daddy, I can't go to the prom. I don't want to go to the prom. Laughter. Now, they are strange, and I certainly have had censorship problems throughout my years. Last 9 years I've been performing on television. This was a beaut. It's a series of sketches, the show's fast-moving, kind of an American Monty Python. It's hard to really put it into a label. We had a scene called Sex for Television, where we took 10 seconds of film of paramecia reproducing. We borrowed from UCLA. Now, you remember those little monocell beauties that you draw looks like a sole of a shoe. And they don't even reproduce sexually. They do it asexually. They don't even do it. They just kind of split up. See, it's so nice being born off to their various lives. And underneath this film, 10 seconds, I sang, and if you're wondering what this all is leading to, I want to make it with you. Real big, smart-ass, dirty joke, right? We got a note from the standards and practices at CBS to censor. This is absolutely out of the question for Family Hour. The sexual reference is obvious, blah, blah, blah. So I talked to this woman, a middle-level executive. I said, but it's a middle-of-the-road song hit. It was played millions of times on your own radio station, everywhere. And really, it's paramecia! You know. And anyway, what are they sick? Is America really going to get turned on? Is it prurient? You know, paramecia, I love pictures. Especially young paramecia. When they're about 20 seconds old, I love them. You know. Not when they're over the hill a minute and a half. Who wants them then? The fact is, if you're paid to look for filth, you'll find it. You'll find it anywhere. Tennis Annual, look at his tuchus in that thing. You know. Anywhere you want to look, you'll find dirt if you're looking for it. And then I got a little bitchy. I said, hold on, wait a minute. You have the Sonny and Cher show, and you're the censor of that show. What about Cher, Family Hour, 8 o'clock, wearing salacious dresses, which reveal almost all of the nothing there is to reveal in the first place? In a masterpiece comedy show, including vulgar sketches with size 48 breasts, a real dignified, and I can't get a paramecium joke in. This network also showed Evel Knievel in Family Hour recently in a desperation move. Evel, of course, did his part by crushing his ribs in the rehearsal. And, I mean, is that sick? You think a lot of disclaimers to the kids. Kids, don't try jumping over sharks and buses. Evel knows how to jump over sharks and buses. Certainly there's no incentive for you to jump over just because he's getting $1.5 million in a special. and laureates. I mean, is a guy ready yet who blows himself up with dynamite? Hey, kids, don't try to blow yourself up with dynamite. This man knows how to blow himself up with dynamite. He's been blowing himself up with dynamite for many years. Is the Walenda ready yet? Paul Walenda has seen his entire family die, walking tightrope. Here he is on a Wednesday night for television doing it. I mean, it's a little sick. He jumped over 14 buses, which I thought was a cop-out, if you want to know the truth. They were side by side, you know? You put them end to end, you're talking about a jump. No, I have nothing against the man. He's a showman. He's entitled to do with his body what he wants, as long as the ambulance standing by for him isn't the one that's needed for an old guy who had a stroke a couple of miles away, you know? Pays for his own ambulance, think he takes it around. What are you clapping for? Ambulances? I keep on talking and the applause becomes obscure. You're laughing at me. Oh, I'm a comedian. For Christ's sakes. It's one of the things about being a comedian. I can't get used to people. But I've been settling most of my problems, and I think I'm really on the mend. I don't think there's anything particular. That's the way I feel about it, too. Someone from the novelty store advertising. People seek free advertising. When I did my last Carnegie Hall appearance, and we went up with a local CBS News guy here, did a local story. I mean, I went in my old neighborhood in the Bronx, and we were shooting around. You all old? See, it happens too fast by the time I see. We were shooting on Jerome Avenue underneath the L train, and the merchants came out and they cornered the newsman and said, "Hey, I got a beautiful shop right here, you know. I got a beauty right here." You know? And some of the Dewitt Clinton students, my alma mater, were walking past away from school. "What's this, TV?" "Camera, what is this?" You know. They, look, I have no complaints about my education. It did nothing but absolute good for me, though. But performing at NYU was what really, performing. It's not an accident I became a performer. I only told my parents I wanted to be a doctor for parental approval. Parents like hearing that. "I want to be a doctor." "Very good, here's $1. You know. I bought layman's books like Heart Attack and You by Dr. Cronin, 7 warning signals of all diseases. And all it did was make me crazy that every time my old man took a nap, I thought he was dead. "Hey, Dad!" "Dad!" "What? What do you want?" You know what started it? Vault of Horror Comics, EC. That's what started it. Remember those comic books? I lived next to Woodlawn Cemetery, too, which didn't hurt. On the way home, up to the 6th grade, I used to watch funerals along the fence. To this day, the smell of gardenias. "But you're dead!" They didn't mince anything. They had no phony skeletons walking and ghosts. Nice dripping, decayed flesh from the bone. They didn't mince anything on those comics. Nice stage area here, I will say this. Fiercely masculine, aggressive arrows here, which are aimed towards the passive feminine floor. Here's something you always see in the movies you never have to do in real life. Every movie has at least one obligatory back against the wall. When would you ever have to do it? Once I had to do that. I had a chest x-ray. That was it. There's something about something around there you know and you shouldn't be afraid of. "Hi, how are you?" If you should be afraid of it, you should be running your cannolis off this way. I once had a terrific censored discussion with the guys on The Tonight Show when they were still in New York about 6 years ago. I had this bit on my first album about carrying the assembly flag in PS 94. The New York City flag. I had a strap around here with a little Parcheesi dice cup at the bottom. New York City flag. We're very proud of it. It has the emblem on it of the white man gypping the Indian. We're very, very proud of it. They're handing each other something. And the New York state flag was the other side, and the U.S. flag down the center. And a kid would read the prayer first. You're not allowed to do that anymore. A kid couldn't read, and he'd be prompted. The Lord is my shepherd. The shall want him. And everyone's going, let's go. Assembly, and the flag comes in. Anyway, we were taught that by these old normal school graduates who taught us, the old ladies went to normal school for 2 years, graduated in 1899, took religion and first aid. And they used to be pretty strict types, Talking! That type of. And they weren't allowed to hit the child. Corporal punishment was not allowed. You're not allowed to hit the child. It didn't say anything about the push-probe method. Hello, Robert. You're going to try. They could rip your mouth off its mooring. But they weren't allowed to hit you. And they taught us things like that the flag itself had the power instead of representing the power. Anyway, the kid dropped the American flag by accident. And I want to tell this story in the Tonight Show. Maybe a communist stuck his foot out and tripped him. I don't know. They do that in this school. The kid tripped, and he panicked him. It blew his mind. The flag. And he started to kiss the flag. Child imagined something like the George Washington's going to pop out in the form of a genie. Hey, you dropped me! Girl, I suffered at Valley Forge, you little Jew boy. Well, it wouldn't let me say Jew boy in the Tonight Show. You can't say Jew boy, I get too many letters from Alabama say, why don't you say Jew bastard? What's this boy stuff? In point of fact, even that's a stereotype. The worst hate letter I ever got in my life. Some sweet lady wrote in tonight, she'll call me a Jew boy, Mako, Kami, Scum, Beatnik. And I thought, look at this Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. So it was Massapequa, Long Island. So you can't, I do that when I'm frightened. It's cinematic. It gives me a hold on things. It's as if, how can the frightening moment hurt me if I go, I'm stepping out of the moment to comment on the moment. You see, I'm commenting on the moment. So how can the moment hurt me? It's my movie. Is anyone with me at all here? Let's say someone were about to murder you. It's ridiculous, I know, statistically. But if someone were about something horrible like the best thing you could possibly do would be to go, first of all, you have nothing to lose. Second of all, who's going to murder you when you're doing that? At least you get a chance to think about it, You go, hey, I'm not going to murder this maniac. I'm going to murder him again. You got a chance. You're okay unless the guy double woos you. This is something I wouldn't do. Unfortunately, it happens, He's about to murder you. You go, he goes, forget it, you can't deal with him. Two hit. He's not only going to murder you, he's going to comment on the murder. It's his movie and you're in it. One of the movies I was in showed on TV recently, Owl and the Pussycat. I just had a little part in it, but it was fun. Little piece of trivia. I was in bed with a girl in that picture. No nudity or anything. She hadn't had any speaking lines and could hardly see her, but she was just a high school senior then, a very nice girl. And she said, oh, my father will kill me. And I don't know why. There was no nudity. Turned out to be Marilyn Chambers. I recall I was telling her, what's your major? I've seen her interviewed, not too much going on there. But, no, there's no violence on television. Ray Johnson and I, you'll meet him shortly, great musician. We were at the University of Kentucky or something like that a few weeks ago, and we came back to the hotel after the show and turned on the TV. There were 3 stations. First station, just in time, it took 30 seconds to flick. Charlie Bronson blew a man's face off with a double-barrel shotgun, sent him off a porch like that. Turned the channel, Alfred Ryder, a very fine actor, was just falling to his death from a 70-foot balustrade. Turn the channel, there's Ricky Nelson, whose right hand is murdering people against his will or something. My left hand, which is dropping glasses against me. We are violent, damn it, we are. Yahoo! I don't want to be, but we are. It's our history. I mean, even the words we choose, but we don't try to deal with the problem of poverty. We have a war on poverty. We understand that term. We're going to stamp out inflation. Come here, you. It's a nice aggressive tone. Stamp out. It's a sort of anthropomorphic approach to stamp out, kill unemployment. Yes, whip unemployment. Yes. No. We're going to lick that problem in our lifetime. That's the only one that seems inappropriate. It's very passive to lick a problem. Let's lick that problem. You'll get it wet, you won't solve it. Lick that problem. But whip, stamp out. So we are. But I couldn't do my lousy paramecium joke. You know, I'm 35 now, and I feel really good. I don't feel no involutional melancholia. I don't feel that it's all over for me. And it is kind of, you realize you get, like the baseball season's here again. I don't feel about it quite the way I used to. And I guess it's something sobering to realize that, you know, I'm 35, and I guess it's realistic to assume that it would be almost impossible for me to ever play in the major leagues. I was a pitcher. A nice high-kicking left-hander with style. Deliver it there, and I was great. And then one day I got hit in the gannolis with a comebacker, and the career was over. I was what they call shy after that. It was a hitch to my motion. It was like, I sometimes threw the ball into my thigh, occasionally forgetting to let it go. And it was the #1 all-time pain, certainly for males. Ever been in those "what's the worst pain in the world" conversations when you're waiting for a Greyhound or something? Sorry. I can't negotiate this. There's always a woman who says, well, childbirth is known to be the worst pain. It's even in the Bible, you know. A man always says, oh, yeah, you ever get kicked in the gannolis? And someone else always enters kidney stones, and there are a few other heavyweights. But we're morbid. We're also morbid. We are. And we like to capture destiny whenever we can, even negative. Like people go, you know that flight 404 that crashed in Cleveland 2 weeks ago? We took that flight 5 years ago. Look at those children of destiny escape death by the whisker of an eyelash. Sort of a can you top this, even in a negative vein. A can you top this. You know, I'm not nearly, I don't have the same hostile feelings about Nixon lately that I used to have. I thought I wouldn't watch that interview on principle, but I watched it and enjoyed it. It was great television, I thought. I do have these little fantasies about slipping the Secret Service guy $10 and not hurting him, but just, come on, Dick. Come on. Open hand. What the hell is going on here? I wasn't there, you know. I wanted Frost to go that extra little mile and go, oh, wait a minute. The court says you said that. You said that. It says you said that. Well, it's your interpretation. No, everyone's interpretation. Everybody's interpretation, Dickie. Hold them to it a little. Agnew makes me angrier because Agnew is richer than he ever was, kind of more influential. If you want to deal with the kingdom of Iraq or whatever it is in these days, you have to deal through Ted. He's got a lot of influence in those quarters. And I saw him recently serving his time in a chain gang in Palm Springs. It was very touching. Oh, we work all day. I hope I get a lady. Very touching. What a crumb bum he was, if you recall. He took $1,400 payments in the White House from guy. Here's $1,400 and a turkey, Ted. Merry Christmas, you're doing nice. This is the vice president. Even the amounts themselves are tribute to this guy's crumb bum status. That's like a bad narco cop. He could have made trillions, and he, the real crummo. And also, the other thing that he rubbed it in when he went around the country saying, it's too much permissiveness. people commit crimes and get away with permissiveness. Yeah, that's an irony. All I know is if I get caught holding up a bank, go, hey, you got me fair and square. I'll take the Agnew punishment, please. I'd like the Agnew sentencing method, if I may. Let me figure that out. His crime, his sentence, my crime, my sentence. You owe me 60 days. I'll take it, thank you. Well, there were 3M Company got caught making a $50,000 illegal bribe to Nix. They'll never do that again. They got caught. They got a $3,000 fine. So you're really going to rack the board of directors with that one, huh? 3 big ones, man! I'm in big trouble now. Shoot. How are we going to raise that money in 2 weeks?
We can have a bazaar, sir.
Shut up, you. Whose nephew is this moron in the inner office? Have a bazaar. There's someone in government that I respect very much, Neil Armstrong. I probably have nothing else in common with the guy. He teaches now at the University of Cincinnati, modern dance, which is peculiar, but actually aeronautical engineering. But I respect him. There was a man who not only had some physical courage, if you went boom, boom, he'd go boom, boom, right back, not like this. Anyway. No one gave him any written guarantees when he went to the moon. You're definitely coming back, signed Uncle. He could have been a piece of celestial trash for the next 400,000 years. You preserved nicely up there. On the other hand, he was lucky to get the gig, to be the first. But being the first man on the moon was the commercial gambit of the century. He could have made 40 fortunes. Only a little backstage deal, set himself and his family up for 30 lifetimes. All he has to do is put his foot on the moon and go, Coca-Cola! What are they going to do, call him back? All right, Neil, I'm pissed off now. You've got no right doing that. Get that vehicle back here. It's got them by the cannolis. $2 billion joyride. He didn't. He just went down and set a giant step. Agnew would have sold out far more cheaply, I'm sure. He'd put his foot on the moon and go, Sam's Tailor Shop, Baltimore! Argo Buick! A real chromo, A real chromo. There's a little hope, maybe, a little fresh breath of, Today, maybe a little more optimism. I certainly hope so. We've come through this winter, and I bless you all for making it. It was a bitch this winter. A lot of people are will tell you, the winter is 77? I was there.
Tell me about it, Grandpa, please.
Well, all right. Well, it was a hell of a thing there. Helicopters were dropping Rice Krispies over Broadway. It'll become exaggerated. I loved it, frankly. I had spent a lot of time in California, and I came back and I got the smack full in the face. And there was something humbling about it and lovely that we couldn't affect nature, finally. And even then, people had a knee-jerk reaction. The weather was so lousy. Son of a bitch, we'll get a president in there and get us some good weather. We never had this kind of weather under the other. Damn, the winter can't, this suddenly we can't. The old Lou Costello 24. It's still funny. Well, you never can tell. A whole story flashed to my mind's free column in the Times. Comedian Robert Klein was assassinated last night at NYU by a man with a machine on his shoulder. I didn't know what the... I'm not morbid too much. I imagine my obit from time to time. But, I'd like to bring on a great friend of mine and a fine musician. And he was the musician... director of music, we called it, at the Improvisation Club during some of its golden years. He played behind all kinds of wonderful people. No use going into the list, but he's a great New York musician. How about a hand for Raymond Johnson? Ray? singers do the soft note. They practically eat the mic. Feeling that you're feeling. Feeling that you're feeling. My feelings are feeling. Are there any other lyrics? That's the glottal click for emotion that they're using. That song is so emotional, they have to outlaw it, for Christ's sakes. People are absent from factories and office jobs. I just heard feelings. I'm taking it down. They hit the loud note, the singers pull the mic away. You know. Feeling. And they bring it. Oh. All my life is feelings. That's delaying the beat. I love when singers skip words. It's sort of a hip phenomenon. It's kind of one, two, three, four. What a day this has been. What a rare mood it's been. Almost being in love. Oh, human race. Oh, love. Music seems to me better far from where that when that dust starts to beat. Swear I was falling, no I was falling. Swear, no, oh, love, no I'm falling. Swear I'm falling, no I'm falling, no. Most like being in love. I first saw terrific music. Go ahead. It's sort of moody. Long about this time. Cold. That's why I have this straw. Hits my teeth. You know, it drives me crazy. I hate when people bite ice cream in front of me. Hi, Robert. Like 400 fingers along the blackboard. It's a killer. Just a crazy. Want to see science? You physics majors or people that used to watch GE College Bowl will surely recognize the capillary action experiment. We'll be doing several experiments for you at Technicality to keep my Ford Foundation grand in humor. We're doing the iodine in the potato experiment. We're going to make a battery out of ginger ale and copper wire. And we're going to make some hydrogen sulfide gas. That's the one that smells like a fart and a rotten egg. Remember that one? That was a big thing as college freshmen. Yeah, it smells like a fart, I swear to God. Instead of the teacher coming out and saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is hydrogen sulfide gas. You may notice it smells like a fart and a rotten egg. I'd be laughing too, but I've been teaching this course for 27 years. Joke's worn kind of thin, so get it out of here. The guy at my school, Alfred University, I remember he said, not bad, 3 claps for Alfred University. It only gets 4 claps at Alfred University. The guy at Alfred said, you may notice it has a somewhat peculiar odor, you know. Yeah, like a fart. And so he laughed and laughed. No question, farts are funny. Mark Twain wrote a great essay about farts, and they do make you laugh, those farts. Yes, sir, they kind of make you chuckle and they make you laugh. I saw live entertainment in the Borscht Belt when I was a kid. And that was probably the first place I ever saw it. They had a 3-act show on Saturday night, and the first act was kind of a throwaway, a European roller skating team that got $35 for the show, and they had to bring equipment and sequins on dresses and mouth bits and neck braces, and he had black skates and she had white skates, and their whole act consists of spinning. For 5 minutes of Lady of Spain played on an accordion by a medical student. Tanya and Lanya. The one with the teeth where her ponytail is straight out, parallel to the ground, and she has 4 G's on her face. It's very sad. Remember the monkey experiments in the rocket? Look at Drowser's lip. You know, Well, before Neil Armstrong, they sent to rhesus. They're always tapped for all experiments. Psychology texts filled with rhesus monkey courage in the face of experiments. Abnormal psych was the greatest course I ever took. Yeah. Remember that? Because it's interesting. I read the textbook like a novel. Great pictures from 1920 clinics and things. There was a trauma case I'll never forget, though, that Phineas Gage, 1863, a spike. Remember, he's still in the book. Spike went through his head, and he lived a very long and relatively normal life with the spike in his head. And they put these. They interviewed his family and his friends, and he. Himself for years afterwards, and it compiled very important data, which they put in this book. For example, they found out he was much more irritable, difficulty sleeping, loss of appetite. Friends said he got cranky sooner. It was really heavyweight stuff they had in there. I don't know. Science, we had a tendency to believe that anybody with a white jacket on automatically knows what's happening. I saw these marijuana experiments that John Chancellor had on NBC last year. And now it's important that we find out what marijuana does and doesn't do. Evidently it doesn't kill you immediately, but you don't get a free ride from anything in this world. I do not know what it does or doesn't do. And I'm not about to speculate. But basically, it found a lot of things that the other tests haven't been finding, very damaging results. They did it at Tulane University in New Orleans, which maybe I'm being stereotypical. Is a kind of poor place for research, don't you think? Give me an oyster. But they took 50 rhesus monkeys. Rhesus weigh 18 pounds each. They put them in steel confining apparatus so they couldn't move their arms and legs, put electrodes in their brain, make them comfortable. Kind of the jungle to this, they were cruising. And these monkeys had to smoke their body weight in marijuana every day for 4 months. Which is equivalent to drinking a bottle of Clorox, incidentally. Well, the government wanted an example of moderate smoking, so they, Well, they found out some extraordinary things at the end of these 4 months. For example, the monkeys are much more irritable, difficulty sleeping, no loss of appetite, slight loss of a lot of other things. I don't know. The jury's still out as far as... just don't believe everything that you hear in these scientific circles. Know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Reminds me, I want to get a dog. I don't want a dog to protect me. I just want to... Anyone here have a golden retriever? They've been recalled. Left rear leg. It was put on backwards, or you may have the leg of a Yorkshire Terrier, but I want to get a golden retriever, a chicken dog. My wife wants a German Shepherd. I admire them, but they get too busy protecting her. They're large, they have a 500-pound snap on the jaw, and they're not that intellectual that they know automatically friend, foe. Oh, he's a nice guy. Remember, he's the in-laws, isn't he? That's your anthropomorphism. He goes, bad smell, strange. I want a dog that'll warn me if someone's on the property. I'll take care of my own property. I don't need it. Robert! There's someone here! Robert! I never smell this person. That's the kind of warning I want. I never had a guy there. Once I had, my mother had a rug, so... I had tropical fish, but there's no relationship there, and it's kind of boring after a month and a half. All you do is hit the tank once a week. Boom. I spent $20 on a tank, and I didn't have enough money for the heater. I used a very poor substitute, one of those coils you heat up a cup of coffee in a hotel. Boiled the fish alive. I was thinking I wanted them to feel at home. I had a 3D background and a diver with bubbles. They were used to divers during most of their childhood in Woolworth. Divers often came down. Why is it we love animals so much? I guess they ask nothing, right? They're pure, they're nice, and they're sweet, and they ask nothing of you. And Hitler's dog didn't know he was Hitler. Desmond Morris, The Naked Ape, he talks about how pure they are in a sense. They let you know how they feel by look. First of all, they don't kill their own species unless some sort of missed signals. They may be fighting furiously, but they know how to submit. You know, like they show the backside. Well, some of them show the backside. Hey, showed his ass. Nice fighting with you. It's over. He knows it's over. It's no ego loss in the loser or something for the winner. By the way, the book was banned, Naked Ape in Long Island, along with such other profane books as Slaughterhouse-Five. What? I don't understand this. 1977. What are they? Out of their minds? You know, maybe it's Naked Ape. Is that it? Naked. Mr. Morris has conceded to change it to Clothed Ape for Long Island. What is it? Baboons' asses they talk about. Yes, dirty, funny, certainly. But this thing that animals tell you how they feel. Human beings do that too. I call them horizontal wrinkles. When you mean to be innocent and friendly, you put your hi, horizontal wrinkles, how are you? You don't have to say horizontal wrinkles, that's the beauty part. Hi, you notice I have horizontal wrinkles, mean you no harm, hi? Oh, I'm being passive towards you. Vertical wrinkles are distinctly different. Vertical wrinkles, I don't know if I like you. Horizontal wrinkles. Of course, only human beings can pervert these signals. Animals are incapable of that. You could certainly go, hi, give me your money or blow your fucking head off. I'm taking both your daughters, okay? Dogs go on their back. The fight is over. Hey, he's on his back. Let me sniff you once more. Keep away from my bitch. Thank you so much. Human beings, he's on his back. It just begins. He's on his back. Good. You know. Now, I'm concerned about this anthropomorphism. I don't know how damaging it is, but it's an interesting state of mind. If an animal is maimed in San Diego Zoo by some stupid idiot, you know, it makes headline news everywhere. The same thing is not true of human beings. It's easy to love animals. I guess if we could just transfer this ease of operation with animals. But the paradox is that people who loaded other people into concentration camps could get hung up on a puppy. They're like, oh, a puppy. We take it home, yeah. Now, even nature films, of which there's an abundance on television, they have disclaimers now at the end. Some of the scenes were depicted, so-and-so, so-and-so, but they represent actual facts. And even that's kind of on the lam. You know, they always add anthropomorphic music, depending on what kind of character they think. A penguin is never seen on television without silly bassoon music. Well, look at these formal little fellows, you know. They're not formal little fellows. They're flightless birds of cold weather places. And if you think they look like a nun or a tuxedo wearer, that's your problem. Silly trumpet. Of course, the ultimate silly muted trumpet. Well, that's one young pelican that won't chase an angry hawk again. I mean, Disney Studios, they used to go into the woods and wait for 6 weeks for a certain elk to look up a certain way in a real mating posture. Today, they don't wait 5 minutes, they throw a rock at his head. I don't know, they put music on later. Or the cheap kind of nature documentary, when the game is rained out, they put on any music off the shelf. Nice tropical fish swimming around. These blowfish certainly know a good meal on the coral. You want to get the rise and flight of the Canadian geese. You know, they don't wait around for 8 weeks for a real flight. They got the camera ready. Ready? Ah! You get the nice rise flight of the Canadian geese. And Lorne Greene, whoever else is doing the narration, will say, the beauty of their flight is enhanced. You seldom hear him say, the terror in the eyes of the geese as they flee the running, screaming film technician is a beauty to behold. The majesty of the elk as he looks up after a rock has been thrown. He also makes other anthropomorphic assumptions, like he did a thing about eagles once, and he made a statement, a beautiful footage of eagles. He said, the mother eagle, upon returning to the nest, experiences feelings of maternal patience, and how does he know? They ask her, how do you feel about maternal? an instinctive love of my offspring. Get the hell out of my nest. Oh, sorry. Now you can get every record ever recorded. Yes, we mean literally that. Every single record ever recorded since recording began. We drive a truck to your house and deliver every record ever recorded. Imagine, you get classical, Ich habe genug, Cantata 82 by Bach. Ich habe genug, ich habe genug, ich habe... Johnny Cash, I Walk the Line. Lithuanian language records. Sisu, yes. Sisu, yes. Sisu, yes. Sisu, yes. Chances are I want to know, tell me something good. Yes, every record ever recorded. Plus, if you act now, an ice crusher. Hello, I'm actor Conrad Jarvis, and I've been dead for 6 years. But this record offer is so super spectacular, I had to come back to tell you about it. Oh, Lord Arrow! I don't know. Very peculiar. It's a new jag religion. It's very jagged. It's a jagged thing here. By the way, speaking of classical music, I saw Ed Herlihy, the old cheese king, semi-retired. He was the initial person on television to do food pollution, where he would take a Frankfurter. Why not take a nice Frankfurter, put some walnuts and Kraft marshmallows inside? With some Kraft imitation Philadelphia whipped cream cheese. Dive right in and live there. He does a classical music commercial now, in which he says something absolutely frightening to me. He says, this collection, they have Barcarolle or something playing, and this collection is all the classical music your family will ever need. What do you need? What are you talking about? How dare you? Ed used to have a show in New York called The Children's Hour, and when I was a little boy, I want to be on, They were professional performing children. And I felt sorry for them because they're kind of trained like seals. They overact. Hi, Mr. Herlihy, It's Thanksgiving, and I'm going to sing a Thanksgiving song. Well, okay. I love turkey. Everything is acted out. Come here, kid, right in your eyes. It's not his fault, though. And they used to emphasize the ages terribly, making freaks out of the children. Why, little 8-year-old Bobby Hookie, isn't he? 8 years old, making him a freak. Why, little 7-year-old Kenny Best? Come on up here. Why, little 6-year-old Marcia Sue Tompkins? 6 years. Why, little Tommy Boyle's an embryo, not even born yet, Tommy. Come on up here. Tommy's gonna sing I Want to Be a Boy, Tommy. I want to be a boy. Became Tommy Tune later in life. Broadway rhythm. I'll tell you, I did sing on Broadway, but my real ambition was to sing one of those real masculine songs like My Boy, but you sing those with your foot up on something. You need a foot. You got that masculine thing. But if you don't do that, you bring it down and just as regular, but up here, masculine. Bless your beautiful hide, whoever you may be. Real macho. I opened in a show, Apple Tree, in 1966 fall. It had moderate reviews, but it had good reviews, actually. But sometimes they'll use any review they can get. I was in a couple of Bombaroos, and they said, this is an outrage to charge $12 for this show. And they said, an outrage, they used in the review. Outrageous! Dot, 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 dot. An outrage. You know why I enjoy my water even more? I think of desert movies when I drink. It makes me thirsty. The ones where they're about to die. It's a funny thing, Sergeant. I had a girl in Salt Lake City once. God, she had good water at her house. Somebody wrote me a note, and it says, how to keep a moron busy all day, see other side. How to keep a moron busy all day, see other side. A literature major? I'd like to do for you several New Orleans street cries that I learned watching educational television. Cries of Merchants. This is from 1882. Strawberries, strawberries, so sweet and red. Strawberries. And they got more and more sophisticated as they went on. Got some strawberries, got some fresh fish here, got some pots and pans. Got some strawberries, got some fresh fish here, got some pots and pans. And they got more and more sophisticated. Tupperware! Tupperware! We want to have a Tupperware party! Trinitron here, Trinitron! Got some real estate! They get very sophisticated. As they... You know, I've more or less avoided the game shows. I did Jeopardy once. They used to use non-celebrities, but it's off the air now. Remember that? You used to answer the question in the form of a question. Like, first president of the United States, and who is George Washington? You know. Except they usually weren't that easy. And they said, Robert, we're having Celebrity Week on NBC. We'd like you to do Jeopardy. And I said, thank you so much, but I'm far too hip and avant-garde to be on such a silly show. I said, that's too bad, Robert. You get $1,000 for the day. You do all 5 shows in one day. I said, perhaps I can be an avant-garde hip player. You do all 5 shows in one day, and you have to bring a change of dickie, otherwise people will think you're a pig and wore the same thing all week. Look at that, honey, I've been watching. He hasn't changed his goddamn shirt all week. Well, nobody's got 5 yellow shirts. I'd give him that. And you have a leisurely lunch between Wednesday and Thursday. And I felt a little uptight. A sudden fear of dumbness. Phyllis Newman was playing against me, and Jean Shalit. And she is so smart on game shows, you know, and I had this feeling, Phyllis Newman, $6,600, Robert Klein, just watching. Okay, panel. And she reminded me of like the smartest girl in the class in the 3rd grade who the day of the test goes, I don't know anything. I don't know a thing. And then the test comes, she knows something, hands in a paper in 5 minutes, gets 100, spends the rest of the period putting the reinforcements in her loose sleep. With history perfectly separated from geography. Perfect. We got down there and met Art Fleming, who'd done the show for 14 years, was off the deep end. Hi, Robert. What is hello? He doesn't know. What is it? All right, we start to play, and right away I'm buried. Phyllis Newman, $2,300. Robert Klein, 2. Okay. I've started to do a respectable thing there, but the thing is that they asked us to give the money to charity. So I don't know, some little organization that was sending blankets to Vietnam. It was really pathetic, but I chose that. And he starts making a big deal about what great people we are for giving money to charity. You know, these wonderful people from show business giving their money to charity, you know, about $1,000 we're getting. These fabulous, who says show business has no heart, giving their money to charity. Isn't that one? What is $1,000? You know. Hypocritical. First of all, there's a load on my mind that I never asked for. As it is, I'm playing now, initially for myself, and now for unseen people who need the money, and it's a pressure. There's no consolation question on that show. You get wiped out, you get wiped out. Had I gotten wiped out, an entire Vietnamese village would receive a Jeopardy game. Hope you enjoy it, cum fuck, you know. You know what they'd say. Are you crazy? What is this? I have nothing against charities per se, you understand, except that it's a kind of hypocritical application. Also, the networks, big shots, put all the public service commercials on at 3 o'clock in the morning, anti-alcoholism messages. Don't drive drunk, and if you know anyone that does, get them off our highway. Who's watching at 3 or 4 in the morning? Drunks! That guy's right. Diseases and causes you never heard of. Hello, I'm Helen Hayes. Kum Suk is a 14-year-old Korean child who has never eaten. Won't you help him share this meaningful human experience? That's Hunger, Box 81164, Radio City. That's Ricketts Now, Box 1254Z. They always have a great address. It's I Want to Eat Too, son of a bitch, Box 54Y, Radio City Central. Hello. You're lucky. I have no heart, kidneys, or lungs. Pretty tough. Oh, yeah! Bitch. This is my family. I don't want to see your family! I didn't even know you till 5 minutes ago, Jim. My daughter Dolores has just finished. Give me $1. Okay. Hello, I'm Joan Fontaine. Did you know that 126 unfortunate Americans suffer from Jurgen's myasthenia? A little known but dreaded disease in which the nose mysteriously slides off. As yet, there is no known cure for Jurgen's myasthenia. But there is hope. Oh, Jesus, where? What hope are you talking about? They don't even have a laboratory set up for this disease yet. A little ad hoc group, a couple of guys working with a Gilbert chemistry set in Yonkers. Put this down here. We'll be getting microscopes next July. That'll help considerably. What's the name of this disease? You know, it's... I'm very disappointed in Farrah Fawcett Majors as the chief pinup. Pinups used to have a real sociological interest to them. This pinup, she misses by miles. First of all, she participates. Yeah, she's nothing. I saw a guy said he puts her picture on his motorcycle. Very touched. She does do these very subtle sex commercials. Which you remember the one with Joe Namath? Want to see Joe Namath get creamed? Where they work in a nice innocent word like cream, and they make it into the filthiest connotation. Want to see cream, me cream, ya cream, cream. It's creamy, creamy, creamy. Hi, creamy. She even called herself, hi, I'm creamy. Now there's a new one that's equal in its subtlety, Sledgehammer Division. It's great balls of comfort. Great balls. They have balls verbally italicized with great balls of comfort. We don't mean anything by it, really. Great balls of... Two nice balls of shaving cream in front of you there. Wonder what they mean by that. My mother used the baby name. Robert, don't touch your poo-poo, tutu, punky. Most parents do. I got more feedback talking about that on The Tonight Show than anything else I've ever talked about. And, it's not just confined to me. That was a lot of people have reported, even cowboys from Montana. It's not ethnic particular. Ralph, get your hands off your tutu and get on there. I did that bit last year at a concert in which my mother attended, and it was amusing to me that afterwards, she loved the show, but she was very embarrassed by my having used those words. She's 67 years old, and I said, Robert, the tutu popo. They were still essentially dirty words for her because they represented. I said, honey, I don't want to shock you. You are 67. There are real words for those. Try one. Penis. Ah! Vagina, mother. No! Urinate. T-T. And she shriveled up like the vampire does at the end of the movie. It was wild. Yeah, all right, my folks. It made me be a little careful. I had, watch out for that lamp. Watch out. Wear white when you go out. The cars can, watch out for that. Be careful. Don't knock that. Watch your elbow. Safety patrol they were always on. And as a consequence, I'm not particularly intrepid and will never be a Marine colonel. But well, there's kind of things like they really double-dealt it to me, to emphasis, Don't ever touch a public toilet seat. Things jump off of it. World War II was started by a public toilet seat. Put paper down if absolutely necessary. Squat, hover, use someone else's ass if you're hot. Don't ever touch a public toilet seat, all right? Okay, Pop, you got it. Don't ever go in swimming till 1 hour after you've eaten. 1 complete hour, otherwise you'd drown immediately. Ever hear of Davy Jones' locker? Thanks, Pop. That's good for a year of dreams. Okay. I used to think the food would know. 58 minutes. 15. If it went in 59:30, bop, bottom of the ocean, drowned immediately. So when I got older, he said, well, you really don't have to wait an hour. It depends on what you had. And he was the arbiter on the beach who could tell you how long you had to wait. What'd you have, peanut butter and jelly sandwich? 37 minutes. Good job. Tuna salad, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, 41 minutes. Look at frankfurters and beans. You can't go in swimming this year. You may never swim again, I'm afraid. I feel somehow the dance. Why do dancers always look like someone's holding them back at the shoulders? They love space. They have a kind of, that's their mediums. I love your space. I want to eat you. Why is it mimes always get caught in tight spaces? I have a very good friend in Atlanta that's a mime. We were speaking on the phone the other day. Well, he wasn't speaking, but I knew what he meant. Which is a sign of a really great mime. Things have hardly changed in Louisiana bayou since oil was discovered there 10 years ago by our technicians. A little more prosperity, perhaps. There's a new 7-Eleven store in town, and a new paint store as well. And the shrimp boats still go out for the daily catch. They say it's pretty good, too. Black shrimp are just as good as white shrimp. Black is beautiful. Oil. Organic, natural, necessary. After all, your car won't run on piss. Let us pray. It's one thing I won't watch late at night on principle. I've done it a few times, but not past the fifth word. The late night prayer. Who wants to hear the boy? It's a personal thing between God and me. It's the end of another day. Goodbye. A little girl came to speak. This is the station that brought you the Three Stooges for your kids in the afternoon.
Give me that pliers, porcupine. Remind me to kill you later, porcupine. See this? Boop. Give me that screwdriver. Boop. My arm. Give me your other eye. Boop. Give me that hammer. Boop. I'll saw your nose off.
It's a great show for the kids. At the end of the day, they say, we belong to the broadcasting code of goodness. And along comes this guy. Inflation, what does it... Goodbye. I like those non-sec nice ones. They have them on some stations, especially out west. Not a religious clergyman, but a kind of a non-denominational minute of meditation or prayer, whatever you want to make out of it. Give me some pastoral music. A sunrise at Cape Cod. You see this. There isn't a guy telling you this while you look at a black wall. A desert sunset. A foggy San Francisco afternoon. Pine trees swaying in a Minnesota forest. A moose eating grass by a waterfall. The moose looks up. The moose continues. Some desert flowers. Geese taking off in the Canadian woods. A child in limbo. My favorite part. I wish I was in a big band. They just talk about ordinary things when they're playing. Lately, I've been getting the feeling, not being afraid of walking in the streets in this city. There's a lot of fear of crime, and so there should be. But that I have been the cause of fear in others. Like I'm walking behind a woman on a doctor. I know she's afraid of me. And I know I try to sound innocent.
Golly, that your social sure was smell. Mom baked several pies for it.
I know she's thinking, gonna kill me. Sometimes I want to just come right out with it. I'm not going to kill you, just passing. That's the Boy Scouts' new commercial for funds. No more give to the Boy Scouts to make them better boys or teach them how to make a lanyard. They have an advertiser where a man's walking on the street late at night and he hears footsteps behind him. And he starts to get crazy. The young men, they come closer, closer, pass him the Boy Scout. The message is clear. Give to the Boy Scouts or they won't kick the shit out of you. My leg. Oh, it feels so good. Just sitting there on the ground with my other leg. Whoa, like a good leg ought to be. There it goes again. Thank you for coming. Ray Johnson. Thank you.